Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is we try to break down psychological, social, and emotional topics in the most discernible and easy way possible. We try to do that on a daily basis. We've got over 500 audios available for your listening pleasure on a variety of topics. If there's a topic that you want to see or deal with, ultimately this can be helpful. In the end of the day, if you're looking at if we're looking at the concept of how to improve our lives, coaching is a great way to do that. Hopefully, I would love to have you become a client. Would love it if you reached out. Today, we're going to talk about triggering, what it is, signs you might have been triggered. But if you're dealing with emotional regulation challenges, please feel free to reach out. There's a couple ways to do that on Twitter at PO Perception, or here on YouTube in the About Me section. My website is there. You can go check it out, and we can hook up that way. But triggering is a very popular word these days. I think sometimes it's overused, and it's not necessarily as respectfully approached as it used to be even 5-10 years ago. To be triggered is to be set into a often biochemical but automatic, certainly, response to an emotional stimulus or tragedy or difficult situation. How does one know if they've been triggered? There are probably about half a dozen things, maybe a little more, that I want to look at. The first is disconnection from reality. So, you can almost feel like you're outside your own body, metaphorically, physically, or emotionally. You may look at yourself differently and see kind of like, hey, I don't feel like me. I don't feel like I'm in control. I don't feel good about any of this. I don't feel like I know what's happening around me. You might lose touch with reality, sensory distortions also at hand. This can lead to fear of or experiencing a psychotic break or breakdown. A triggered person, if they have been triggered multiple times in quick succession, or if there are emotional or psychological issues they haven't been dealing with for an extended period of time, can experience a complete sensory breakdown and emotional breakdown. This is very rare. It does happen. It happens a lot more than people realize, but not nearly as much as has been Hollywoodized in a lot of places, because I think mental health has been so talked about flippantly in some circles that people can say, "Oh, I'm going to have a breakdown. Oh, I'm having a panic attack," and so it trivializes for those that actually do have documented disorders and mental and emotional challenges. It trivializes their experience by lumping it all together. The next is stress you can't regulate. Now, we all get stressed. Most of us have some stress in our daily life, but when you have a stressful situation or a series of events or series of spans of time, days, months, weeks, that we can't ever regain a feeling of belonging, a feeling of comfort, a feeling of safety, security, that leads to a lot of challenges and a lot of problems. Many of those problems come out to be things like having it affect our physical body, having it affect our emotional wellness, and all points in between. Now, avoiding social situations, avoiding situations of conflict, avoiding family or large crowds or any other thing. If you've been triggered and going back into a trigger makes you feel more emotionally out of control, it's more likely that you will be avoidant of anything that makes you feel like you can't regain your balance. Overwhelm is a huge, huge thing. The overwhelm concept is the reality that, in the end of the day, you're dealing with too many things or trying to hold things in alignment in a kind of too vibrant a way, and ultimately, you kind of get to a place where the sense of overwhelm, that is the idea that you're dealing with too much, actually becomes your predominant thought. This leads to the next thing on the list, which is panic. And so when you feel so overwhelmed and you can't regulate your emotions in a positive way and or feel as though you can regain control, it's almost like walking and losing your equilibrium, in that you literally feel like no matter what step you take, no matter what action you take, it could be wrong, it could be improper, it could be dangerous. And so you begin to look at your every movement not as positive or negative, but am I about to lose something? Fear of loss, even if it's emotional loss, is another motivating factor behind these stimulus, which ultimately can get you in a good bit of trouble. Not necessarily because you're a bad person, not necessarily because there's something wrong with you, but because when you've lost the ability to emotionally regulate, finding a way to decompress is necessary in order to get to a place of balance and security once again. A lot of times people try to rush themselves, and that doesn't go well either. The next thing is trusting one's own judgment becomes a problem. Um, I'll go to you don't sleep, you don't rest, you don't eat. Your self care drops, but the at the end of the day, because you don't trust anything, anyone, or your surroundings, the ability to make decisions becomes harder. All of these put together are certainly signs of a super trigger or a trigger that has led you out of balance within yourself. But dealing with one of these for a short span of time may not be a complete triggering, but it might be either trigger words, trigger phrases, trigger sentences, might be something in there that you want to investigate. But if you're dealing with that, there are coping mechanisms available. Finding a way to cope is the first key to recovery, and it is super valuable and important for you to do that. So hopefully this has been helpful. I encourage you, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.